The importance of recycling.
Thanks for meeting with me, Dr. Carter. I really appreciate it.
Of course, Tom. Always happy to chat, especially about something as important as recycling. So, what's on your mind?
Well, I'm trying to write this paper on sustainable habits, and recycling is obviously a big part of that. But the more I read, the more complicated it seems. Like, is recycling actually as effective as we think?
That's a great question. It's definitely not as simple as recycle and the world is saved. But it's still extremely important, especially when it's done properly.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm struggling with. I always thought throwing stuff into the blue bin was enough. But now I'm seeing articles about contamination and how a lot of recycling just ends up in landfills anyway.
Unfortunately, that does happen. Recycling systems vary a lot from city to city, and if people don't sort their waste correctly, it can ruin entire batches. But that doesn't mean recycling itself isn't important. It just means we need to do it better.
Right. So it's more about being mindful, not just mindlessly tossing things into bins.
Exactly. It's about understanding what can and can't be recycled, rinsing containers properly, things like that. It's small extra steps, but they make a huge difference.
I guess the problem is, it's not always clear what's recyclable. Like pizza boxes? Some people say yes, some say no.
Pizza boxes, always the classic example. It actually depends on how greasy they are. If they're soaked in oil, they can contaminate the recycling stream. If it's just a little, you can usually tear off the clean parts and recycle those.
See, I had no idea about that. Maybe part of the problem is just that recycling rules aren't really taught or made super obvious.
You're absolutely right. That's part of what our NGO is trying to tackle. Better education around waste management. People want to do the right thing, but they need clear, consistent guidance.
Yeah, makes sense. And I guess another thing I wonder is recycling enough? Like, is it enough to just recycle, or do we need to be doing more?
Honestly, recycling is crucial, but it's just one piece of the puzzle. The real goal is to reduce consumption in the first place. The famous reduce, reuse, recycle slogan? Recycling is actually the last option.
Oh wow, I never thought about it that way. So first reduce, then reuse, and then recycle whatever's left.
Exactly. If you can avoid creating waste to begin with, that's even better than recycling it afterward.
That's powerful. I guess it's like, we focus a lot on fixing problems after they happen, instead of preventing them.
Very well said. Preventing waste means fewer resources used, less energy burned, less pollution created. It's all connected.
Yeah, it's crazy how something like using a reusable water bottle instead of buying plastic ones can have such a big impact over time.
Absolutely. One reusable bottle can replace hundreds, even thousands, of plastic bottles over a lifetime. Small choices, repeated over time, really matter.
You know, sometimes it feels overwhelming though. Like, the environmental problems are so huge. And then I'm over here worrying about my coffee cup.
I get that. It's easy to feel like your individual actions are too small to make a difference. But imagine if millions of people all made those small choices. It would add up fast.
Yeah, kind of like voting. One person's vote seems tiny, but together they shape entire countries.
Exactly. Perfect analogy. And beyond that, when you live more sustainably, you also influence the people around you, your friends, your family. It creates a ripple effect.
That's encouraging. It's not just about me doing everything perfectly. It's about moving the culture forward.
Right. Perfection isn't the goal. Progress is.
Thank you. That actually takes a lot of pressure off.
Good. It's not about guilt-tripping ourselves. It's about making better choices where we can. Every bit helps.
I think another thing that frustrates people is feeling like, well, big corporations are the real problem. What difference can one person make?
That's a real frustration, and it's valid. Big corporations do have a massive responsibility. But public demand drives corporate behavior. If more people choose sustainable products, boycott irresponsible brands, and advocate for better policies, it forces companies to change.
Yeah, I guess money talks, right?
Sadly, yes. But it also means we have power through our choices, where we spend, what we support, what we vote for.
That makes sense. It's like a long game, not an instant fix.
Exactly. Change takes time, but it starts with small, consistent actions.
Okay, so, if you had to give like 3 easy tips for someone who's just starting to care about recycling, what would you say?
Good question. First, learn your local rules. Every city has different guidelines, and understanding them makes a big difference. Second, reduce before you recycle. Choose reusable options whenever you can. And third, inspire others, not by lecturing, but just by living your values openly. It spreads.
I love that. Simple but actionable.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be complicated.
Honestly, this makes me feel a lot less discouraged. Like, I'm actually excited to start doing more.
That's wonderful to hear. And remember, you're not alone. Every positive step counts.
Thanks, Dr. Carter. Seriously, this conversation helped a lot more than just my paper.
I'm glad. And hey, if you ever want to get involved with some local cleanup events, let me know. We're always looking for more passionate people.
Definitely. I'll check my schedule. And first thing first, I'm going to start by fixing my recycling habits at home.
That's the spirit. One step at a time.